There are just 4 matches left of the Premier League season, and Leeds United will be looking to the summer for ways that they can improve the squad and make sure that next Premier League season isn't quite as close as this one. Again, I still think we're going to be fine, but there are some that think we aren't, and I think having more points between us and the bottom three would be a lot more of a comfortable place to be. And various names seem to be coming out of the woodwork that are linked with Leeds United by lots of different outlets, and there starts to be a little bit of a trend that we can keep a little bit of an eye on. So I'm going to run through what that trend is, why we might be looking at the players that we're looking at, and ultimately how that will help us in the long term rather than just as a sort of short term fix. To begin with, some of the key names that we are reportedly linked to at the moment include Santiago Bueno, who is currently at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and also a Wolves midfielder by the name of João Gomes. João Gomes being a ridiculously good player. He's wanted by many, many, many sides, both in the Premier League and beyond, and will be one of those players that is worth something like 50 million quid this window. Which, to be honest, I don't reckon we get him. I completely understand why we have a little bit of an interest in him, but I don't see us breaking the bank to sign João Gomes in central midfield when central midfield is one of the positions that we're sort of okay in at the moment. Like our midfield pair, just week in, week out, if they're both fit, Stack and Badu, is relatively unmovable right now and have been performing very, very well. FA Cup aside, that was a bit of an outlier of a match. With support from Tanaka and Longstaff and Gruev, I think they are fine. But Bueno at Wolves being a player that we're interested in addition to Gomez at Wolves being a player that we're interested in addition to little rumours and things that I've heard from Spurs and Burnley players, is giving me a little bit of a feeling that one of the tactics that we are potentially looking at in terms of player signing this summer is going to be sort of what happened to us when we went down. It's that sort of vulture strategy where you will, from the high place, from up in the sky of the Premier League, look down upon the league below you, which is now the Championship, and just pluck through various squads and pick out the players that are the best. The players that we lost, for example, being Jorginho Rutter. He's looking pretty damn good at Brighton right now. Admittedly, he stayed for a season, but still counts. Crescencio Somerville in the same boat. Again, probably West Ham's best player this season. Again, waited a season, but eventually left. Tyler Adams, who is a fairly consistent, very, very decent midfielder for Bournemouth. Luis Sinistera, who on his day is a pretty good player. The cat's about to jump at me, I absolutely know it. But is a little bit too injured constantly in order to fix that. All of these players, Robin Koch, another example, fairly consistently playing over in Germany now, in with the shout of the World Cup squad. All of these players genuinely had the potential to improve Premier League squads. Whilst from our position we're looking at it like, well, no, they got us relegated, they're clearly not going to be good enough. That's not going to be the case for all of the clubs that they can play at. If you have a look at Spurs as the big example, and you look at players like a Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero, I am going to give a little bit of a shout for Archie as well. Look at players such as a Richarlison, Kinski is another shout. Their squad is littered with decent quality footballers that could do a hell of a job in the majority of setups. Jet Spence is potentially going to play for England at the World Cup whilst getting relegated to the Championship. Player quality isn't the reason that a club goes down. For the most part, the reason that a club will go down... Hello, Iris. You have eaten. Leave me be for a moment. Thank you. Sorry, you may have seen the baby there. Ignore it. The main reason that a lot of clubs do get relegated is management. The players will be decent, but everything below the players, above the players, sorry, in terms of managerial perspective, isn't going to be good enough to keep them going. If you have a look at Spurs, start of the season, absolutely didn't do well enough under Thomas Frank. They said, right, okay, sack you off. We're not at risk right now, but we'll get Igor Tudor in to try and fix things. Igor Tudor didn't fix anything. De Zerbi is going to try his best, but if they still go down, there's a lot of quality to be plucked out. Same applies for Wolves, same applies for Burnley. If you look a level lower, I would also argue that the same applies for Leicester, because players like a Jeremy Monga, who I believe it's Monga that I'm thinking of at least, winger, very, very young, incredibly promising, are players that you can just sort of grab because they're not going to want to be in League One. Sure, he'd start week in, week out in League One, but he's not got a route back to Premier League football at the moment because Leicester, even if they get promoted next season, aren't going to get back to the Premier League very, very quickly, are they? Because their financial base right now is shot. It is done, it is gone. So I think this strategy is something that we should do, to be honest with you. Like, we'll do this standard sort of looking to the continent. I fully agree with that, by the way. Like, there was a rumour I saw earlier that there's some goalkeeper that we're linked with that's currently at Shakhtar Donetsk. I can't quite remember his name right now. But we're linked with Ukrainian players. We're linked with players in Germany at the moment. We're linked with, I think I saw someone at Union Saint-Gilloise, which is the Belgian Pro League. Lots and lots of high quality talent that is going to be undervalued compared to the level that the player is at. That applies if you are looking at sort of second rate leagues. It's a harsh way of saying it, but you know what I mean. The sort of second tier ones, not the big 4 or 5. Or clubs that have just been relegated because they will be desperately in need of money. It's the same reason that we signed Lucas Perry last summer, because his club could demand less money from us because they were in a position where they were financially knacked. Focus on that. Make sure that we are getting players that we need for the system. This is potentially the most important part as well, because if we finally get a 10, things are going to do significantly better in the creation department. Get another striker that sort of focuses on that movement, sort of the equivalent of a second striker in a 4-4-2 kind of thing. Pace, movement, getting onto those second balls will come out significantly better. Potentially get a right winger in. Maybe look at another left-footed centre-back to cover for Pascal Struijk when we've got issues there. A left-back would be massive because with Gabby Goodmanson out, it's James Justin. And then if like Jaden Bogle gets a knock, then it's a question of, well, what do you do now? Do you shove one of the wingers in there? Do you trust Sam Byram to play in the Premier League? I don't know. But if we make sure that throughout this coming summer, what we're doing is we're making sure that we have quality players for affordable prices, we can get a Premier League squad for less than you should pay for it, which is ultimately how the best clubs do it right now. The best run clubs, Brighton, Brentford, make sure that they sign talent for affordable amounts. I think we can do that. There is nothing stopping us. We've shown so far that the 49ers know what they're doing when it comes to scouting and recruitment, and hopefully we can continue that into the summer after we survive, because we're going to batter Burnley, as I mentioned to Joe. Unbeaten in the league until the end of the season. Why not? I think we can do it. Anyway, bit of a rambly video, but you know what? That's going to happen sometimes. It has to happen sometimes because it can't always be on the ball. And I played 7-a-side earlier, hence the goalkeeper kit. I got man of the match. That was quite fun. But that means that my brain's frazzled because I saved one of the shots with my face. So, yeah, if you enjoyed, pop a like on the video. Be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Become a channel member as well. That'd be good. Cat's going chaotic again, so I'm going to call that there. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you later. Toodaloo.